Wednesday, I called it hump day.
Oh, baby.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Hump day!
Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo! Busy hump day. It is a very busy hump day in the doghouse, and we got a lot to get in today on several levels. And let me just tell you this, too, just so you have an idea of what's going on. See, we got today, we got tomorrow, and then tomorrow we'll do a Beat the Big Dog. But then I am out of the box for a week, all right? I'll be gonzo for a week. Now I'll weigh in. I'm going to Florida. I got a Bassmaster event coming up next week. Taking a couple of extra days off to go see my daughter and my parents. My dad was in the hospital last night, 82 years old with a kidney stone attack. He's back home, thank God. But I'm going to see my parents, going to see my daughter, and then I've got an event for Bassmaster next week. So I'm going to be out of the box from after tomorrow. I'll be out of the box for a week. Okay, so just I'm trying to jam as much stuff in as possible. There will be a Friday trifecta. I will leave a Friday trifecta for Grizz and Smokey. I guess Smokey's going to be handling a lot of the deal with Grizz, so it'll be Grizz and Smokey for you next week. But we will have a Friday trifecta for you on Friday with the championship game. I will join the boys on Monday from Florida with reaction to the championship game for a segment, and then I'm going to cut them loose, and they can do whatever they want to do. Phone lines are open. Feel free to jump in. 256-576-4977. 256-576-4977. You can also text the show. 7329-TA-SHOW. That's 732-982-7469. What are we going to call it, like a producer special? We'll call it like the producer special next week. It'll be something like that. Two former producers of the Thom Abraham Show running the show next week. That ought to be interesting. Of course, Smokey Mike working with us now, producing The Drive as well. So it'll be like the producer's special show. 732-9TA-SHOW. Get you in the text line. 732-982-7469. It's a great way to communicate with us. My personal Twitter feed is at Thom Abraham Show, while the station's feed is at 97.7 ESPN. We are also on to Twitch and to Facebook at 97.7 ESPN, where you can watch the show as well. And our YouTube channel is 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Like and subscribe there. Go to 97.7ESPN.com. You'll get links to all of that stuff. While you're at it, get our app. You got to have the app, all right? At the app, you get links to Zone 2, 3, and 4 as well. All of our alternate streaming channels for more great programming. Remember, on top of Alabama basketball, which was tough to listen to last night, there's UAH basketball. There's the Huntsville Havoc. Basically everything is here. Coming up in a few minutes, Carey's Corner with Josh Carey from the Trash Pandas, as David Ortiz was the only player voted in by the baseball writers into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens reached the end of their eligibility without being elected. Now, does that set the precedent for every suspected PED user going forward? And does it diminish the Hall by not having these guys in? Now, going forward, can you not say, look, we cannot ever put A-Rod in because we didn't put Clemens and Bonds in. We cannot put this guy in, that guy in, the other guy in because we didn't put Clemens and Bonds in. Is that precedent now been set? There are some very interesting details in the voting data, in the voting numbers. There's 394 voters. Only 55% were made public. My first question is why? 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 Why shouldn't everybody's vote be public? Why? I think every vote should be public. Of the known voters, 76% voted for Bonds, 75% for Clemens. That's the threshold, the 75% to get you in. But on the private ballots, each got 53%. So the same people who don't vote for them continue to, if you don't vote for one, you don't vote for the other. If you do vote for one, you vote for the other. In the public ballots, they make it. It's the cowards. It's the private ballots that they don't make it. Now, there were 14 first-time voters this year. 12 of the 14 first-time voters voted for Bonds and Clemens. And interestingly, only 11 voted for Ortiz, and only 8 of them voted for A-Rod. So even the first timers are like, yeah, I wouldn't vote A-Rod first ballot. But they're going to vote for A-Rod. Those 14 new first-time voters will vote for A-Rod in the future. Why? Because 12 of the 14 voted for Bonds and Clemens. 12 of the 14, 87%. So the new guys, I'll say young guys, but I don't know if they're young or not. The new guys that are voters, they voted for these guys. Here's another interesting thing. Ortiz got 83% of the public votes. He only got 72% of the private, while Clemens and Bonds were getting 53% of the private vote. Ortiz would not have gotten in with the private vote. The private vote only 72%. Would not have been enough. Coming up at the top of the 11, Justin Ferguson is back from the Auburn Observer as the Tigers beat the Tigers from Missouri last night in their first game as the number 1 team in the country. It was not easy, though. They were tied at the half. Auburn shot just 25% in the second half and snuck out of Mizzou Arena with an ugly 55-54 win. But you know what? Sometimes you got to win them ugly. Crazy night for Jabari Smith. Just 2 of 15 from the field. Get 5 points on the night. 5. He actually looked like a freshman last night. But speaking of looking like freshmen, a horrible loss for the Tide. Oh, now they're the Bulldogs biatches, right? They get whacked in a national championship game, and now a Bulldog team that was 0-6 in the league comes back in the second half from down 6 points at halftime to outscore the Tide by 12 in the second half. And again, the Tide can't throw it in the ocean. From the three-point line, 9 of 34, another 26% night. But they lost this one. Look, both teams shot about 44%. They lost this game at the free throw line. At the free throw line. Georgia made 24 of 30 free throw attempts. That's 80%. While the Tide were 13 of 20. You say, well, welcome, they only went 20 times, but Georgia went 30 times. Well, if all you do is jack the ball up from outside, you don't get to the free throw line. That's simple as that. If you're a team that attacks the cup, you get to the line more. So you're not going to get to the line as much. But you were only 65% in a game that you lost by 6 points. You missed 7 free throws. I'm not saying you got to be 100%. But it would have helped to make the free throws. How many of the free throws that were missed were the front end of a 1-and-1? You don't know. And now Alabama 4-4 in the league. Mired in the middle of the pack of the league. It's just a weird team now. John Forcade is on the show today as well. He's back from New Orleans off a somewhat surprising news that Sean Payton has retired from the Saints after 16 years. And he has 3 years to go in his contract. So for those of you that think, oh, that Cowboys are going to hire him. Yeah, not without giving up a first-round draft pick or 2. I don't think he's going anywhere this year. But is he the Cowboys coach in waiting? And how good a job is the Saints job, or is it the worst job that's available? Are the Saints headed for where they were for so many years? Remember how bad the Saints were for so many years? Are we entering a really bad time for the New Orleans Saints? The Sean Payton years were outstanding. 16 years. But before that, remember, they were horrific. Now they're back to not having a quarterback. They got some cap space. I think they have some cap space. About $74 million worth of cap space. Sean Payton could see it, though. Wait a minute. Are they $74 million over the cap? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm reading my notes right now. Are they over the cap? Maybe they're over the cap by $74 million. It's a bad situation there. He knew when to get out. He knew when to get out, for sure. Over there in the little glass room, playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax and answering the phones and keeping us on the air. And to be honest with you, he's a little bit giddy. Anytime a team in the NFC South looks like they're circling the drain, he's a little giddy. He's a Falcons fan. He's a little bit giddy about this whole – knowing that the Saints are going to suck for the next 10 years does not bother Coach Chris.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Now, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the f*** it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. All right? It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Grizz, so you watched most of that mess last night. What a horrible loss for the Tide last night in Athens.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, I think I watched literally all of that game last night. I may have flipped it back a couple of times, but it was not a fun game to watch. It looked hectic. It didn't look like anybody was taking control of the team. I mean, once they put Rojas in with a brace, this man is out here diving for balls and doing things that, like, it's just like we were talking about last week, where you're throwing a guy in to kind of like get everybody motivated. It just seems like they don't play very motivated. And like we were saying before the show, I mean, it looks like an AAU team that's like tons and tons and tons of talent, but like nobody's taking the reins of the team and like really holding people accountable. It's like they look scared. I mean, it just looks like nobody, because they're all young. It just seems like, because everybody kind of, it's like a bunch of transfers, and it just doesn't, it's just weird that
or top recruits. I mean,
top recruits that are just,
you bring in a couple of
that
top
aren't
recruits,
together.
but this isn't this what we saw with Kentucky?
Yeah,
last
what
year.
I think normally with Kentucky, when they have one and done so many times, or
right.
Or
well,
Duke.
sometimes it works, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's a disaster because they don't work together well. And sometimes it works later in the year and comes together in the tournament and things like that.
Correct.
But yeah, sometimes when you have too much talent, it you can't get them to mesh really well. Now, Auburn has the best player in the country, and they figured out how to make that work. So you can't just write it off to that.
Right.
But whatever it is, it ain't working right now. It ain't working. And the way he wants to play basketball with the run and gun style, helter skelter, last year it would be like, oh my God, what are you doing? No, they won. You know what I mean? It was like, it looked like a mess and turnovers and everything else. This year, the shots aren't falling, and now it looks like they're helter skelter, and they don't know what, and it's just like a mess. Like somebody rolled out a ball, and you grabbed a bunch of guys, and you're like, we'll take you, we'll take you, we'll take you.
Right.
And, pave the court, put the chain nets up, and we're just going to play pickup. And that's how they look now because the shots aren't dropping.
Yeah, it's a team that I think before the Auburn game, the three best players, Shackelford, Quinterly, and I can't remember at the top of my head who was the third player, were shooting like 27% from three, even before that game. And it hasn't gotten any better. The threes aren't dropping. Like I said, there's no veteran presence where you can rely on a guy to be that kind of that shot taker. When it comes to that, it looks like a lot of times when somebody has the ball in the hands, they just shoot it. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like, it's like, I get it. It's like, it's that mentality. It's like, if you're open, then just throw it up. And a lot of times that's not the right deal. Like, I love what, Quinterly did with the behind the back moves and then dishing it out. And then, that's good to create space. But that was the right move to be able to create space and to be able to get another shot out of it. It's this, like you said, this run and gun where a lot of times like Alabama would get a turnover and then try to throw it as fast as they could to get it down the court, and it wouldn't go out of bounds or somebody wasn't paying attention. And it just seems like if that's what you constantly want to do and run on your team, then you need to like the guys need to know that everyone's accountable and everyone should be focused on where the ball's going to be at all times. So it just seems like a lot of times they play too fast. It's too hectic. and it gets too uncontrollable to the point where they just start causing turnovers for no reason, which
19 of them,
shouldn't happen.
by the way, last night. 19 turnovers on the night. 14
I think they had 20 or something like that against Auburn, so it's just like consistent,
Yeah, well, that's what they we know two things. They're sloppy with the ball, and their three-point shooting is not good. All right, 25% on the season. That's not good from the three-point line. So we'll see if they can get it turned around. But that was the first win of the year for Georgia in the conference, and overall, Georgia was 5-14, 5-14 going into that game. I mean, that's just a horrible loss. All right, Grizz, I am extremely excited about the Chicago Bears hiring of Ryan Poles to be their general manager. Okay,
so I think I saw that right before work.
Yeah. Now, why am I excited about the general manager of the Chicago Bears? Huh?
Why are you excited?
Well, let me tell you. Glad you asked. Let me tell you why I am excited about the signing of Ryan Poles, 36-year-old Ryan Poles, to be the general manager. Now, he was the assistant general manager for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was a guy that was very involved in the Chiefs draft, bringing a lot of good talent to the Chiefs.
Okay.
And now he's the general manager of the Chicago Bears at 36 years old. But that's not why, Grizz. I am excited about this hiring. Let me tell you a story.
You related to him.
In the end, everything always comes
him.
back to me,
you
right?
Know him or you worked with him, or
how does it affect me? Okay, that's the bottom line. What is the tie to me? Okay, what does this mean to me? Let me tell you what this means to me. So Ryan's daddy, Junior Poles, and I are in the same high school class and the same college class. High school class of 78.
Okay.
College class of 82.
Same school?
Junior was at Caledonia Mumford High School, all right, in Caledonia, New York, while I was at Bishop Kearney High School the same year. Yeah. Okay. Junior was a monstrous offensive lineman, and he was my senior year in high school.
Yeah.
We never met each other. Junior was the New York State High School Player of the Year.
Okay.
He then went on to Boston College on scholarship, was one of the few guys out of the Rochester, New York area that got a college scholarship to play football. We weren't exactly a football factory area. And he went to Boston College, and he played college there at Boston College. He then was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, and ended up, he didn't do the work. He didn't put in the work. He was a really, really good college player that got lazy, thought he was just going to be great. That ended up happening. His backup ended up having a 9-year career in the NFL. His college backup had a 9-year career in the NFL and he didn't do anything. Okay, so fast forward, Junior is now washed out of the NFL.
Yeah.
He is 26, 27 years old. I'm 26, 27 years old. Okay?
Yeah.
And we together, as 26, 27-year-olds, end up on the high school football staff at Livonia High School in Livonia, New York.
Very nice.
As late 25, 26, 27-year-olds.
Yeah.
I then, in 1990 or 91, somewhere in there, I get a job with St. John Fisher College to coach college football. While I'm at St. John Fisher College, the head coach was asking me about, guys that maybe that could coach a defensive line. I told him, hey, Junior Poles was coaching with us. He gets interviewed, and Junior ends up going with me to St. John Fisher College, and we're on the same college staff together.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
Junior ends up my roommate.
Yeah.
On the road when we travel and stuff, and we end up very, very close friends. I mean, really, football staffs are close anyway, but Junior and I end up really close. And little Ryan I know Ryan, he's like 3 years old, 4 years old, then 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then little Ryan ends up playing with little Joe, my son. Little Ryan is 2 years older than Joe.
Yeah.
Okay? And those two, sometimes they travel with us on the road. They play together all the time. And they end up close little friends. And Ryan ends up playing in Turkey Bowl when he's like 8, 9, 10 years old.
Of course. I should have known there was a Turkey Bowl.
Another Turkey Bowl player. I got a Turkey Bowl player in the NFC Championship game in Bryson Hopkins.
AFC.
And now I got a Turkey Bowl vet as the
AFC,
general manager of the Chicago Bears. Now.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. So I just was texting with Junior, or Robert Pohl, we call him Junior.
I used to watch Reggie Ragland knock out our best linebacker in high school when I was when I was a senior, and he was in 8th grade. So I mean, that's
so I was texting him, telling him how proud I am of Ryan. This is so great that Ryan got this job, and I've known the kid since he was 3 years old. Now, let me bring it back to our listeners.
Yeah.
Okay? Our listeners will remember our listeners will remember Roland Poles. Why will they remember Roland Poles? Roland is Junior's younger brother. Roland is about 6 years younger than me and Junie. Okay? Roland Poles is Ryan Poles' uncle. Roland was a biatch of a fullback for the University of Tennessee in around 1990, 89, 90, 91. Tennessee fan will remember Roland Poles. You remember that name, Tennessee fan? Roland Poles. And Roland Poles is Ryan Poles' uncle. Now, there's another one, Ronnie Poles. All three Poles boys were really good high school football players. Junior, who was one of my best friends, Ronnie, and then Roland, who ended up at Tennessee and got drafted, I think, by the San Diego Chargers. I think where Roland Poles got drafted. It was San Diego?
Yeah, 10th round, I believe.
Yeah, he was a late pick for the San Diego Chargers. He had a cup of coffee in the NFL. Ronnie is a pastor. Roland is a cop now. And Junior was a cop for years and years. I don't think he's a cop anymore. I think he actually retired from the police department and is now doing some other stuff. But he does a lot of preaching and stuff like that. Junior and I started a Fellowship of Christian Athletes huddle at St. John Fisher College. You know what the Fellowship of Christian Athletes is, right?
Of course.
All right, so Junior and I actually started a huddle, which they call a huddle. We started a group at Fisher when we were coaching there, and we conducted the meetings and brought in guest speakers and did a little, preaching ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So June was like my accountability partner. He was the guy that would straighten me out. When I would go sideways, June would straighten me out. And June is 6'6", 350 pounds. So, you're going to have a guy to straighten you out. You want it to be Junior Poles. I mean, that's the way that works. All right. I'll tell you what. We got Josh Carey standing by. Let me get Dale in here quick. Let me just see what Dale's thinking about. Dale, what's on your mind?
Hey, I just want to see what you thought about the Sean Payton thing. That kind of blew my mind a little bit.
There was rumors that Fox was after him to go to Fox and be a part of their broadcast team there. But
they only pay those guys like what? I mean, he's probably only get like $3 or $4 million to do that versus getting 10 to coach. I mean, I know. I'll take 2 or 3 million.
Yeah, I don't know if he was quite at 10, but he was up there pretty good. He's got 3 years to go on his contract. So if he wants to go back into coaching before 2024, they got to be compensated.
Well,
but that's what I want to ask John Forcade is whether people saw this coming or not. I think he did it because he was so upset seeing Kevin James play him in a movie. I think that's what it was.
Well, if you watched his press conference, but he was in tears the whole time while he was up there talking. I watched it. It was kind of
why are you quitting? If you're going to be in tears, why are you quitting?
I mean, he's teary-eyed the whole time. I don't know. I don't understand. He's like, I just need to take a break. And I'm sitting there thinking, Jerry Jones has probably offered you a bunch of money, and you're going to take a year off and be back at the couch.
Yeah, give him a year in the media booth, and then he'll be the Dallas head coach.
But they're going to have to give up something big.
Well, Jerry Jones don't care. You know how he is. He'll pay for it or do whatever he needs to do with it. But I still think it's one of the top 3 jobs right now, though. I mean, you got Alvin Kamara, one of the best backs, and you got one of the best wide receivers when he's healthy with Michael Thomas. I mean, you got to have a quarterback. But other than that, I think they're pretty solid. I'd rather have them over some of the other teams.
Well, Michael Thomas is a head case. Alvin Kamara, I don't know if he's under contract or not, or when that is coming. They're $74 million over the cap. They got the worst cap situation in the NFL. Their cap is terrible. They're in trouble there. Taysom Hill is not the answer. You know what I mean?
He should be playing fullback or something. Yeah, he's not a quarterback for sure.
They're in trouble. I think they're in trouble.
All right. Hey, I want to ask you one other thing. Who won the trifecta last week? Did I win?
No, you got some points. Maybe you didn't. Hang on a second, because remember, everybody got a point.
I think I got all 4 of them right.
You did. You got all 4 right. You are now tied for the lead. Hey, Dale won the trifecta last week, Riz. All right, we got to hook him up, or did we hook him up already?
Oh,
we got to hook him up. He did? Okay. Jay in Athens, you and Bowling JJ have 4 points, and you guys are tied for the lead. Keith, the Michigan fan, Jordan, Estero Rich, listening in Florida, Edward Singer, those guys are all tied for second place with 3. Tyler, Jonathan, Jason, Bama Chris, Badger Larry all have a couple of points. Rude Dog, North Dakota Dave, Grumpy, Giants Mike, Danny T. Kramer, Big John, and Auburn Mike are all on the board.
Refresh my memory. What's the Grand Champions? That's when we get to go sit down on the ice at the Havoc games? Is that what that's
when you'll be at the – yeah. If you win this whole thing, you get to come to the Ice Suite. You get 4 tickets to the Ice Suite, and hosted by me and the Junkyard Babe and Grizz, and we'll have some food and drink there, and we'll have a good time.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. I know you got a guest waiting, so, yeah, I just want to make sure. Grizz got my stuff, so I'm good with that.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
All right. See you. Bye.
Let's get a break. When we come back, Carey's Corner with Josh Carey, presented by the Rocket City Trash Pandas. That's next right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You are an electric vehicle. It's true. Electricity powers your heart. Want to feel your heartbeat faster? Drive an electric car. Made by Nissan, a company whose EVs have gone 5 billion miles. Built for every driveway, every highway, and every speedway. And where the loudest sound is the beat of your electric heart. Nissan. Electric cars for electric drivers. 5 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010.
Everybody knows the fun begins when you get to the end zone, where you can enjoy half-price apps every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, half-price burgers every Tuesday, plus late-night pizza specials and a spectacular menu that includes jumbo wings, half-pound burgers, Tex-Mex, and an incredible selection of craft beer, and plenty of big-screen TVs. It's all happening at the end zone, 1851 University Drive, 2030 Cecil Ashburn at Jones Valley Station, and coming in early 2022, Mid-City End Zone at 1115 McMurtry next to the Target Shopping Center.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Making a resolution to stop making resolutions? Power move. Going to bed 3 hours before the ball drops? Power move. Switching to extra reliable internet from WOW with speeds up to 1 gig? Power move. Get the speed you need starting with Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month. And get your first month free. Plus, learn how to get up to $300 on us. Sign up at wowway.com today. Limited to new customers with auto-pay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
In today's real estate market, you need the right professionals to help make sure your home purchase is smooth and hassle-free. That's where Jacob Title comes in. Stan McDonald and the staff at Jacob Title cater to the realtor and clients who are looking for a top-flight closing experience. Jacob Title uses the latest and best technologies to ensure a safe and secure exchange of funds, and they pride themselves on great communication well before and during the real estate closing process. Jacob Title in Huntsville and Madison, and online at jacobtitle.com.
Get your Ford your way today. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got F-150s in stock right now. We have F-150s on the ground so you can climb behind the wheel and take a test drive today. Plus at Woody Anderson Ford, our 2021 F-150s come with $1,000 in bonus cash, along with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months with your good credit. This offer ends January 31st. To be clear, these F-150s are in stock today, ready for your garage tonight. Now let's talk about making a custom factory order. Not only is there no extra cost to custom order, but you'll get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, Expedition, and Mustang. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com and you'll see how easy it is. And speaking of easy, our service department is now offering free pickup and delivery when it's time for your next Ford service. Ask about it at Woody Anderson Ford, the corner of Jordan and Sparkman. Look forward to seeing you.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Sir Von Brewski has piloted his cruise ship homeward and is preparing for re-entry into the VBC South Hall for the 6th annual Von Brewski Beer Festival.
Presented by Engel and Volkers. Experience over 100 beers on tap from over 50 different breweries, live music, souvenir glasses, food, and more. Von Brewski Beer Festival at the VBC South Hall, Saturday, February 5th. Tickets on sale now at VonBraunCenter.com. Guests must be 21 and older.
Bring that playoff intensity every day to our shows.
Bring it on, Chop. Let's go.
Okay, maybe just for Drew DeArmond.
Me.
Listen for Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew. Weekday mornings starting at 7 on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The Whiz Kids had won it. Bobby Thompson had done it, and Yogi read the comics all the while. Rock and roll was being
Maybe
born.
just make you feel a little warmer.
We would scorn. So
Look, the temperature just went up 20 degrees. Amazing. Segment of the show is brought to you by Valley Equipment Rental. Valley Equipment Rental has everything that you need to make sure that you can get the job done right. Valley Equipment Rental, and new location coming, a second location coming up on the North Parkway as well. That's going to be very, very cool for Valley Equipment Rental. All right, joining us now from the Rocket City Trash Pandas for a little Carey's Corner is Josh Carey. Josh, welcome back. How are you?
Good, Tom. Good to be with you as always. Doing well.
Josh is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, like all of our guests appear on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. All right, before we get to Hall of Fame, because obviously that's what what I want to get to here in a moment. I am encouraged by the continued communication between Major League Baseball and the players. Again, somebody asked me yesterday, this does not affect in any way, shape, or form, we say it again, the Trash Pandas, AA baseball, minor league baseball, when the season starts, all of that is going to happen on time. But it is encouraging to see that they've continued to have conversation, and it feels like maybe there's some positive movement here.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what we were talking about last week. I think everyone sees the writing on the wall, if you will. They cannot afford to have anything cut into the season just because really the way it would look. Baseball has had such an ugly past in its labor negotiations, losing the 94 World Series. And then even though it wasn't a lockout or a strike during the pandemic, the way each side handled things in the midst of a pandemic, it was just so ugly. And then having to lose all that money because of the shortened season, I just don't think either side can really afford to miss any more games. And let's not forget, so many other ball clubs, in fact, all the ball clubs, had limited attendance for at least a portion of their season in 2021. So each side has lost a ton of money over the last 2+ seasons. So they really can't afford to be sitting on the sidelines again. So they're going to get this thing done. And it may cut into spring training just a tick, but they're going to start the season on time.
Pull back the curtain for us on spring training and how all of that works as far as the minor league guys. I mean, do they report to the same exact facility, or is there, I know they got the backfields and all that other kind of stuff, but, if the major leaguers aren't there, would the minor leaguers still report to the facility at the same exact time, and would they actually play spring training games with minor leaguers?
Yeah, that's a good question, Tom. I know Usually in a typical year, the minor leaguers report a little bit later. They report about the time they start playing spring training games, which is around the 1st of March. You might have the guys who are obviously the guys who are on the 40-man roster are going to report in mid-February. And then you might have some upper-level minor league guys who they think very highly of, that would report in mid-February. But typically, most of your minor leaguers report around the 1st of March. So if it does cut into spring training a little bit, I don't know how that would change things. I don't think it would change a whole lot, just because if the minor leaguers have to report earlier, then you got to pay them. So I don't think they'll do that. And I don't know if having spring training games with guys who are going to be going to single A and double A and who are mostly not high-end prospects, I don't know how much that would attract people. Maybe it would. I don't know. But my guess is they would just the fields would just be silent for those last couple of weeks of February until the rest of the minor leaguers show up.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. I mean, the guys need to play games anyway, so it would be. And there are times, obviously, when you go to a minor league game, especially early on in the spring training, when you go to a spring training game, that by the time you get to the 4th or 5th inning, you're seeing a lot of Double A type guys, playing with the big club until they go ahead and break them down. Josh Carey with us here, and the other thing I just wanted to mention, because a lot of people know about it, it was out there, it was something that was being negotiated. And again, I don't think it falls under the MLBPA's purview. It's a different deal with minor league players, but they did do some changes, right, for minor league players in terms of housing, food, all that kind of stuff. We heard the horror stories and all that stuff, but that did improve going into this upcoming season, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, what they're going to do this year, and it hasn't quite been finalized just yet, is that the major league teams are going to provide the minor league players with housing. Now, whether that's, and we'll use the Angels as an example, whether that's the Angels finding a place for these guys to stay, or whether that's the Angels providing the players a stipend and letting the players find their own accommodations, that part we don't know just yet. But basically the major league teams are going to foot the bill, and that's been look, that whole issue had been a century-long problem. It was just now addressed because it was really highlighted the last 5 years, and even more so last year. And so it's good. I mean, it's about time that I think we all understand that living in places like Madison, Alabama aren't as easy as it was 10 years ago. And so finding places to live are hard on these guys, especially when they're only going to be here for anywhere from a few weeks to several months, and then they're gone. So it's good, and it's good to take that off their plate, because even with the pay raises, they're still not getting paid a ton.
No, and I think people don't understand that. I think people think that, well, you're a professional baseball player, that they're all making this huge money that they see at the big leagues, and that's not the case. I mean, guys, obviously their contract changes as they move up through the ranks, but these guys are not making a fortune. They're out there, they're doing this, taking their shot. Many of the guys that we see on a Double-A baseball game night, you don't know which ones, but you're watching several guys that are going to be major leaguers down the road. But it is something. The housing issue, I think, was a really smart thing. I mean, they've done that in other minor league sports. The SPHL does that. The Havoc players, they have housing, and it just seems to be a fair thing to do. And I'm glad that they straightened that up as well. All right, to the Hall of Fame, David Ortiz goes in alone. It was a little closer than some thought. The issue of public ballots. I mean, 82% of the public ballots, he was riding high. And then all of a sudden, when it came down to nutcracking time, he ends up by making it by about 3% at just under 78%. First of all, why aren't all these ballots mandated to be public? Why are only 55% of the people release their ballots? I got a real problem with 394 guys and having 180 of them not releasing. Show us your ballot. I mean, shouldn't that be a requirement?
Yeah, you would think we're at a point now where we should ask these guys to do it. I mean, writers write for a living, and their work is made public. Why can't a ballot be made public?
Exactly.
I mean, it would make sense to me. But here's the thing: it's a traditional thing. Writers have kept their ballot, way back when they first started voting for the Hall of Fame. The ballot was kept secret, and then guys finally decided, as generations went along, some decided to reveal their ballot, especially when this stuff with the steroids started popping up. Guys said, look, here's my ballot. Tell me what you think. But this is the reasoning for why I voted for what I voted. And the guys who do reveal their ballot, I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Whether I agree with them or not, at least have the guts to come forward and say, this is what I voted for and here's why. Because very rarely do writers have to hold themselves accountable for what they write or what they say or what they do. And this is one of the few times that they have to do it. And I would like to see them be held accountable and put it out there a little bit. But why they don't do it, it's because they don't have to. And some guys just hold themselves by that old school decorum where you don't have to do it. And it's just that simple.
I find it interesting that the guys that did make it public, 76% of them voted for Bonds and Clemens, would have put them in the Hall of Fame. It was, again, the guys that do not make their ballots public. The private ballots, only 53%. Interestingly enough, exactly 53.1% of the private ballots on both Clemens and Bonds was where they showed up on. So the guys that are voting for them are all the same guys, and the guys that don't vote for them are the same guys. A 23% drop, more than any other guys on the ballot. The 23% drop from the public to the private. I find that interesting, and the fact that the number is exactly the same in terms of percentage tells me that it is the same group of guys. If you either think that you should put steroid guys in, or you think that you shouldn't, and they stick to their guns.
Yeah, and you know what would be interesting too, Tom? I would like to know how old they are. Like, is it the older guys who are keeping it secret and who believe in the old school way and the old rules and the integrity of the game and all this stuff, or is it kind of the newer school guys who maybe weren't writing or weren't around when all the steroid scandals were coming to light and maybe are a little new to the game and maybe have a different perspective on things? I would be interested to know about that specifically. And keep in mind, a lot of the older school guys, they had to cover Bonds. They had to cover Clemens. They had to cover A-Rod. And let's face it, those guys were not the easiest people to deal with. And so that has something to do with it as well. So I would be interested to know the ages. I don't know if there's any way of finding out, but I think it would be interesting.
There is a way of finding out, making them all public. You know what I mean? And you can do that. Now, like Dan Shaughnessy, now he didn't even vote for Ortiz, and he was the only Boston area writer that didn't vote for Ortiz, and he said that he will just never vote. And again, I respect the opinion. I think it's wrong. I respect the opinion, though, that I'm not voting for anybody that I think was a cheater. The problem is, Josh, it seems like there's an incredible amount of inconsistency here. The reality is Roger Clemens never failed a drug test, never failed any PED test, was exonerated when they tried to hit him with perjury for lying to the Congress. He wasn't convicted of that. So all of those, it's just a smoke cloud. It's such a huge smoke cloud because of the guy that was his trainer and everything else that he gets nailed. Look, Piazza, maybe, who knows, right? There are guys that are in that we've put in. We don't know. Yeah. And so how – and then you got Ortiz, who was in the report, but says he didn't do it. We don't know. And so that's where it becomes very, very inconsistent, I think.
And ultimately, when you look at the history of baseball, Tom, people cheat. People have been cheating since the beginning of time. I mean, the Black Sox scandal, Pete Rose. But even before that, when we're talking about drugs specifically, Mickey Mantle would shoot himself up with stuff. You had the Pittsburgh drug trials. Guys would use greenies, and I know those were different. Goose Gossage said he took steroids. Tom House said he did. I mean, and granted, those were different times, but guys cheated. Guys have always cheated. Gaylord Perry was the master cheater, and he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, there is so much gray area that comes with this stuff. I think what it comes down to ultimately is, were you a good guy or were you not a good guy? And I think what makes it so hard is, for a lot of these guys, is that they make themselves so darn hard to like, Barry Bonds was a very unlikable human being. Roger Clemens could be a very unlikable human being. Sammy Sosa, I love the guy personally, but there were stories about him behind the scenes. A lot of it comes down to your personality as well. That certainly doesn't help. One reason why I think Big Papi is in is because he's such a good guy. He's such a great personality to be around with, and he made writers' jobs a lot easier. So there's a lot more to this than simply, did he take drugs, did he not take drugs? A lot of it is a popularity contest, too.
I don't understand how we do just blow up. You mentioned the Greenies, and you and I are old enough to remember the 60s. Maybe you from history, me. I was alive then. I didn't, wasn't totally aware of it, but I'm a baseball historian. That's an amphetamine. How is that not a performance-enhancing drug? Those guys were popping those things like they were M&Ms back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of players took Greenies, and who knows how they could have played with them. They took them because they felt like the day in and day out grind, they would be dead meat out there if they didn't have a little pick-me-up before the game. And yet, all of those guys are in the Hall of Fame.
And think about this with steroids. You can say, hey, it makes you bigger, makes you strong. Okay, great. And also what it did for a lot of these guys, whenever they would get through a workout, the steroids would help you recover from the workout a little better. And it would help you get through that grind of a 162-game season. How much did it help? Did it help Barry Bonds hit more home runs? I'm sure it did. Did it help Roger, if Roger did take anything? Did it help him win more games? We don't know. We don't know if it gave Barry Bonds 5 extra feet on a home run or not. We don't know from that aspect. What it may have done is it may have helped guys with their careers, and it may have helped with their performance on the field. Sure. But that has been the case throughout history of the game of baseball, whether it's greenies or whether it's steroids. And so where is the cutoff point and what are the rules? But at the end of the day, too, again, I go back to likability and the fact that some of these guys had the gall to stand up there on Capitol Hill and lie in front of Congress, which is funny because politicians lie like there's no tomorrow. But it's all such a show, guys, and it's such a sham. And I don't know what the cutoff point is and when people will finally start saying, hey, what did these guys do on the field? Oh, they were really great. Let's get them in.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, even, Papi, and just on his body of work, obviously he's a Hall of Famer, but as a DH, he's a half a player. It took Edgar Martinez, 10 years to get in. Papi goes in, first ballot, no questions asked. Boom. Edgar Martinez was amazing as a DH, but because he was a DH, it kind of hung on him a little bit, and it took years for them to accept that. And David Ortiz, boom, we're going to just go ahead and put him in because we got to put somebody in, and he's the least offensive of all of the offensive guys in this deal. I'll end here. One other note I thought was interesting. There were 14 new voters. 14 new voters this year. 12 of the 14 voted for Bonds and Clemens. So it does make me wonder, and 11 of them voted for Ortiz. It makes me wonder whether the next wave, because otherwise precedent has been set here. Now you can't put any of them in. None that can go, because they'll always say, if we didn't put Bonds and Clemens, we can't put A-Rod, we can't put any of them in. And that's going to wipe out a whole generation. But it is interesting. I think those guys ultimately will get in with one of these committees that they have. They're going to get selected. I think they are going to end up in the Hall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they'll get in the Hall of Fame. And here's what's funny about all that, Tom. I mean, for all these writers, a lot of the writers never played baseball at a high level. These committees you talk about, you've got 12 former players. You've got, I think it's 4 managers and executives and people who really know the game. So in a way, it's almost more of an honor to be selected by one of those committees than it is by the baseball writers. So that's number one. But number two, I'm not so sure that these new wave of writers won't go ahead and push some of these controversial guys in just because they do want to set a new precedent, because they do want to set a new standard and say, look, we get that these guys might not necessarily be the best people in the world, but that's not what this is about. It's about what they did on the field, and what they did on the field was absolutely extraordinary. And so we're going to make sure that they get their just desserts, which is to be in the Hall of Fame. So I actually think that new wave will push them in.
Always a pleasure. Josh Carey talking baseball with us on Wednesdays on Carey's Corner. Josh, I appreciate you, man.
All right, Tom, be good.
Let's get a break. We'll come back and wrap up hour number 1 next on a busy show, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Ross Roberts and his team at Valley Equipment Rental on the South Memorial Parkway. Did you know that Valley Equipment Rental is independently owned and operated by local folks right here in the Valley? They are celebrating 10 years in the business this year and have grown to be North Alabama's largest supplier of rental skid steers and mini excavators. Now, if you have a question about what tool to use, just call them at 964-6081, and the pros at Valley Equipment will get you into the tool that you need for your specific project. Valley Equipment, more care in every rental.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us, too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
I want to thank you. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
At North Alabama Mortgage, they can get you in the right mortgage. Whether it's a refinance or a new finance, they're going to take care of you. In fact, I just recommended them to somebody in Tennessee because they do Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee with conventional VA, FHA, USDA loans. They can help you with the cash-out refinance for home renovations, college expenses, wedding expenses, whatever they might be. They can take care of you from that. And really, the reason they're so successful is because they treat everybody like family. And I know because I feel like I'm part of the family now because Brian Hammaker and his team did such a great job to put me in the best loan possible. And they got it done in record time, to be honest with you. I can't believe how quickly it all went so smoothly. They do a tremendous job. They're also VA specialists, so they work very hard for the veterans as well. Go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. Edgar Martinez had better numbers than David Ortiz, by the way, all the way across the board. He had pretty much better numbers. The only thing is that David Ortiz had those incredible playoff runs, which was very clutch. And he played in Boston instead of Seattle. I'm not saying Ortiz, should have had to wait 10 years, but Ortiz went in on the first look. It took Edgar Martinez 10 years. They both should have went in like 3 years, in my opinion. All right, coming up at the top of the hour, Justin Ferguson will join us from the Auburn Observer. We'll talk Auburn basketball and Brian Harson's shakeup of his staff next. Right here on the Thom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
TLC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You are an electric vehicle. It's true. Electricity powers your heart. Want to feel your heartbeat faster? Drive an electric car. Made by Nissan, a company whose EVs have gone 5 billion miles. Built for every driveway, every highway, and every speedway. And where the loudest sound is the beat of your electric heart. Nissan. Electric cars for electric drivers. 5 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010.
Hello, this is Kerry Rosenblum Realty, and we're part of that MA family. It's great to see football season back in. And, we're at Rosenblum Realty trying to take care of all your real estate needs, whether home buying or selling. We'd like for you to put our 64 years of experience to work for you. We have 4-generation family ownership, and again, take a personal touch to taking care of your real estate needs. Call us at 256-539-9501 or rosenblumrealty.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. This just in. ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting the Vikings have hired Browns VP of Football Operations Kwesi Adofo-Mensah as their new GM. Buccaneers tight end Rob Gronkowski told TMZ today while he needs time to decide whether he'll return next season, if he had to make a decision right now, he wouldn't play in 2022. Gronk said earlier this week he'd need about 2 to 3 weeks to decompress before making a decision. From ESPN's Field Yates, the Eagles and guard Brandon Brooks agreed to a reworked contract for the 2022 season, gives Philly an extra $12 million in cap space, entering an offseason in which it has 3 first-round draft picks and is well-positioned to upgrade its roster. Wednesday NBA doubleheader starts with the Heat hosting the Knicks, then the Suns carry a 7-game winning streak into a matchup against the Jazz. Coverage tips off with NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern on ESPN TV.
This is the only place for Drew DeArmond, Wes Neighbors, and of course, Thom Abraham.
I never met him, but I hear that he's a man of character.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Here in the South, we like our traditions, like Alabama football and tailgating on fall Saturdays. And the best way to start your tailgate? Visit Brooks & Collier to see North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers. Big Green Egg, Blaze, and Traeger. Everything you need for that perfect tailgate. Check out our rubs and seasonings. We have a full wall to please any taste palate. Visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for 75 years. Roll Tide.
Take your taste buds back in time with a trip to the all-new Bubby's Diner, offering a variety of mouth-watering food from delicious starters to 50s-style diner food and meat and 3 meals, featuring owner and Huntsville native Chris Bubby Belcher's family's homemade recipes. Open Monday through Saturday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 8412 Whitesburg Drive in the former Gibson's Barbecue. Drive-in, drive-through, carry-out, or curbside pickup with delivery coming soon through Grub South. Bubby's Diner, home of the Donut Burger.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in. and get your bark on.
That's my dog!
Now live, here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho. Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. This segment brought to you by TOC, the Orthopedic Center. They do a tremendous job there taking care of you no matter what ails you. If you need an orthopedic, you need the Orthopedic Center. It's the only choice. And it doesn't have to be a sports injury, any kind of injury, a work injury, a injury raking leaves. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It's the Orthopedic Center there to get you right. And it's not always surgery. I know we talk to the surgeons sometimes. It's not always surgery. Sometimes it's just getting, therapy. You need some kind of physical therapy. They do it at the Orthopedic Center. You got locations all over the Tennessee Valley as well. Check them out, the Orthopedic Center. All right, joining us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline is Justin Ferguson from the Auburn Observer. Ferg, welcome back. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you, Tom?
I'm fantastic. Auburn playing their first game last night as the number one team in the country, first game ever as the number one team in the country. And you know what? Sometimes your star young guy can't throw it in the ocean, and sometimes it's an ugly game, and you got to figure out a way to win the game. And that's what they did last night, a 55-54, win at a game that was just, just kind of hard to watch, but they scrapped it out.
Yeah, really, really tough offensively for both teams. Super physical game. I thought Missouri and Quanzo Martin had the best defensive game plan I've seen yet for Auburn. Really handled the pick and rolls well. Kept Walker Kessler from really getting into his groove. Roughed up Jabari Smith on and off the ball. And, Auburn just got nobody for Auburn could shoot at a high level in that game. It was the lowest effective field goal percentage for Auburn in a win in 19 years. So it has been almost 2 decades since Auburn has shot that badly and won a basketball game. But you win with defense. Defense travels, rebounding travels. It makes a big difference. Auburn dominated Missouri on the boards in the second half, and even though they couldn't really capitalize a ton offensively, Missouri only hit 7 shots in the second half. Really had long stretches where they couldn't really find anything, and Auburn found a way to scrape it out down the stretch. Not real much a reason for anybody to have any confidence on offense, but Katie Johnson hits 2 tough layups, including an and one, to help give Auburn the win. And that's just kind of been the MO of this team. They know how to finish, and it doesn't matter what the score says or what the stat book says, that somebody on this team is going to find a way to pull it out. And last night it was Katie Johnson.
And Bruce Pearl's always a great quote. He said, "Get the ball to Katie Johnson, get the hell out of the way. It's not rocket science." But he also said something I think that is very fitting. And I saw this when they made it to number one at Tennessee. When he was at Tennessee and I was in Nashville, they got it to number one, and I think they lost their first game as number one,
Yep.
maybe to Memphis, I think is what it was. But anyway, he said, "We didn't play like the best team in the nation tonight. Being ranked number one doesn't make you number one." I thought it was a great point, and what an opportunity, what a great message for this team, playing their first game, carrying that number one next to their name, that you can kind of teach off of a win like this and realize that, look, we got to figure out a better way to play if we're gonna beat the better teams on our schedule.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I thought defensively and rebounding-wise, Auburn played excellently, but offensively they were way lower than expected. And, it didn't seem to be a case of them being kind of having a hangover from getting number one or overlooking Missouri. I think they played well enough defensively and on the boards to show that they had a lot of effort in this game. It was just, a really big outlier in terms of offense, and it's going to be something they have to fix because you put up an offensive performance like that, every coach on your schedule moving forward is going to be, studying every aspect of Missouri's tape and trying to figure out, okay, what did they do to make Jabari Smith hardly hit any shots? what did they do to keep Auburn from scoring? This was the first time in a while that Auburn hadn't scored at least 80 in a game, and they didn't even break 60 in this one. So, there's a game plan out there. There's a blueprint that Auburn's going to have to adjust to, and Bruce Pearl, he gets the best of both worlds. I think from this one is that he gets a win. The team stays number one, for now, and the winning streak continues. They get a road win away. They get a road win that keeps them 2 games ahead of the pack in the SEC race. But he gets a lot of stuff to teach off of that, and that is exactly the kind of game I think he wants at this point in the season.
How much of it is the defense Quanzo Martin's team played? I mean, we've seen them kind of do this to other teams, even though they don't have a great record. They have been a frustrating team to play against, Missouri. But how much of it is that, and how much of it might have just been an off shooting night, by Auburn? And when you get your the best player in the country, going whatever he was, 2 for 15 or whatever, it's just an off night type thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much everybody for Auburn couldn't really hit shots from the field, so they felt like there was a lid on the rim for most of that game. But yeah, I did think some of what when Auburn has not been a great jump shooting team this season. In games where they've struggled a little bit from the field, they've been able to get to the rim, and they've been able to hit Walker Kessler on those pick and rolls and those lob plays really well. Missouri did a great job of defending it. There were a couple times Kessler got loose and scored and had a couple of putbacks. But they did a much better job than say a Kentucky did of staying on Kessler and trying to force Auburn's smaller guys to get to the rim and finish. In traffic. And, that was the part of the exchange you have to make. And it was a good one because Wendell Green was off target, finishing. KD was until the end, in the game. And, Zep Jasper, Alan Flanagan had a rough night. So a lot of these guys that do a good job of getting downhill and finishing around the rim weren't doing that. So they were able to play off of that, keep Kessler from kind of catching a lot of those lobs. And so I think it's a little bit about the thing from the jump shooting perspective. Auburn just didn't have it, never really found the range. But also Missouri did a good job of taking away some of the easy stuff that Auburn's been able to rely on here recently.
What do you know about Wendell Green? Has there been any word yet? He left the game with a knee injury, 13-18 to go in the game, doesn't come back into the game. Have you heard anything yet about him and whether or not he's going to be okay? Because he's kind of the conductor out there.
Yeah, for sure. So no update yet on Wendell Green. They'll see if they can get him going today at practice. But Bruce Pearl seemed pretty optimistic after the game last night, saying the fact that he was able to come back into the game shows that it wasn't super serious. So we'll see kind of how it feels. It was a physical game for a lot, but when you go knee to knee like he did, that is just a brutal spot. And so Auburn very, very fortunate that could have been a lot worse. Wouldn't be surprised if he misses some practice time or if he might be a questionable or game time decision for Saturday against Oklahoma. But he came back into the game and had a couple assists and a couple of big plays down the stretch. So I just think it was just a really, really bad contusion on that knee and something they're going to have to, kind of ice up and get him healed up here over these next couple of days.
What do you know about Oklahoma? They get Oklahoma in the Big 12 SEC Challenge back at the Auburn Arena. What kind of a team are they? What do you know about them? And how important is a game like this for Auburn, being a number one team? Oklahoma's coming in unranked and wanting to knock them off and obviously, make a big statement for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're going to get everybody's best shot now that you have number one next to your name. And this isn't a game that means much, obviously for your title chances. It's not a conference game, obviously, but this Oklahoma team is in a conference right now where they are playing some brutal basketball because they've lost 5 out of their last 6, but 2 of them were to Baylor, one of them was to Kansas, another one was on the road to Texas. Overtime loss to TCU, but they've beaten a really good Iowa State team. They beat a decent Kansas State team, beat Florida earlier this year. And their head coach is Porter Moser in his first season, who came over from Loyola Chicago. So you know what you're going to get out of Oklahoma. You're going to get some crazy good defense. Their offense has kind of been off and on this season, but they do play really good defense. The scores aren't usually really high in any of their games. So this is going to be another one of those games, I think, for Auburn where they're going to face a defense that wants to grind you down, make you work for everything in the half court. And so this is going to be a matchup for Auburn to say, hey, that game at Missouri, that's an extreme outlier. That was a cold night. We're going to be back in our arena. We're going to be back with our fans. We're going to be back in our normal, our normal circumstances and get back to shooting like we know we can. But Oklahoma's going to be a good test for that. They're not. This is not a team that's going to come in and lay down. They are going to be a team that wants to kind of slow the game down, play great defense, and they know that even though Big 12 play has been tough on them recently, just because of how strong that league is, they know that beating the number one team in the country could do wonders for their NCAA tournament chances.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Justin Ferguson with us from the Auburn Observer. All right, let's shift gears. Talk about Brian Harson's reboot of his entire football staff, basically, it feels like. Mike Bobo thinks, sure, we kind of see that coming. The offense was terrible. I thought it was a sketchy hire at best anyway, and it didn't really work out. So we knew he was going to make the move there. Austin Davis is a little bit of a reach coming out of the NFL, and he's certainly played quarterback in the NFL for several years, and we'll see what happens with him. It is Brian Harson's offense for all intents and purposes. But the surprise was the Derek Mason thing, or was it? I mean, is this something? I mean, did that catch everybody there on the Plains by surprise, or was this something where do you think there was a conversation and Harsin said, if there is an opportunity out there for you, maybe you want to look at it, or was this a complete shock that Derek Mason would leave? They played good defense. He's a big-name guy that was a head coach in the SEC for a number of years. Didn't see this coming. What do you think?
Yeah, no, this was a surprise to a lot of people outside Auburn and even people around here. But right before the decision, last week, there were some more word coming out that they felt like Derek Mason would not be the defensive coordinator at Auburn in 2022. He had been linked to a few other jobs, Notre Dame, Miami, Oklahoma State was the one that picked up a ton of steam, and he took that job. I believe that got finalized today. It was a situation, I think, where just not everybody was on the same page, seeing eye to eye on all the details. And, I think Derek Mason did a good job for Auburn, played solid defense. His team played solid defense this year, kept him in a lot of games. But, it just wasn't a fit, I guess the best way to describe it is, kind of organizationally wasn't the best fit. Auburn had Brian Harsin has a former defense coordinator on his staff, and Jeff Schmedding. So for continuity's sake, that would be an easy replacement to make. And so when it seemed that Mason was not going to be back at Auburn went ahead and pulled the trigger. And Harsin's going to stick with his guys and go, with his guns and see what that looks like in 2022. And I think they're bringing back enough talent on defense and the continuity being there. I think with a familiar face running it, that Auburn should be, still be solid on that side of the ball. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how much this affects recruiting moving forward, and just kind of the roster, because Mason was such a really well-liked guy, among Auburn's defensive players. But yeah, just didn't seem like everybody was on the same page, kind of seeing eye to eye on a lot, toward the end. Mason stuck around for a while through the recruiting cycles, which was a big help for Auburn, and we'll see how they close here in February after this change. But, this is going to be an overhaul on defense, but at least they have the players, I think, and it won't be a completely new shock to the system when you promote a guy like Jeff Schmedding from within. Yeah,
because this is let's be honest, this is at best a lateral move. If not, it's interesting, too, because he goes from Auburn, who has to battle Alabama, of course, for attention in the state of Alabama, to Oklahoma State, who has the same situation with Oklahoma in the state of Oklahoma. But, it's like, okay, why would you leave Auburn for Oklahoma State? Really? Unless there was a, kind of a conversation that was had that maybe this is not a bad thing to do. So they kind of shake up the whole staff here. By the way, what is going on with Allen Green? Why is there all of this? What am I missing? Because I'm not following it as close as you guys do, obviously. But it seems to be there's all this conversation about whether or not Allen Green is staying around, the guy that hired Brian Harsin. What is up with that?
Yeah, so this has been a topic of conversation really for the last several months around Auburn, and a lot of movement, a lot of people, there's pressure on Auburn to, especially after the year they just had in football and with that basketball situation and how that got resolved with Bruce Pearl, it doesn't seem like Allen Green was, there's a stretch there where Allen Green was linked to a lot of different jobs, a lot of different other AD jobs. That has calmed down, but the speculation about him staying around at Auburn really hasn't. As of right now, that doesn't seem like it is anything impending in terms of him being on his way out. It seems like cooler heads have kind of prevailed on some things, especially after the basketball, the compliance issue was sorted out and Auburn got a slap on the wrist. But yeah, it'll be interesting moving forward because Auburn is in the process of getting a new president, and it seems like the only real candidate still left in the fight is the dean of their engineering school. So it's an internal guy. It's a guy who's been at Auburn for decades. So there's going to be a changing power up top. It's going to be interesting how much that affects athletics. This new, presumptive next president is a guy that is a big athletics guy, from what I've been told. So it's just going to be very interesting to see how all this kind of shakes out. So I don't see Allen Green, busting out and leaving Auburn anytime soon. But it's just one of those things where the situation is never fully clear, I guess, about what his future is like. But this is not a situation like it was a few months ago where you heard his name linked to a lot of AD openings. That has really kind of calmed down, and for now it's kind of operating as business as usual. But with the power structure kind of changing ahead of him at the school level, it just makes everything going on here in 2022 very interesting. It's going to be a lot of pressure on a lot of people.
And does that pressure equate to, what the number has to be? I mean, another 6 or 7 win season, and it's not an easy schedule. I mean, you got Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State on the road. Those are going to be tough. The 3 cupcakes seem to be, no problem, but Penn State comes in. That's a toss-up game. That may be the difference. They get Arkansas, Texas A&M, Missouri, and LSU at home. It almost feels like the Penn State game might be the difference. That might be the 8th win. One way or the other, and you wonder if it was a 6-6 type of year again, whether or not this thing, escalates even more and does quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is a season upcoming for Brian Harsin where they've got to show progress. They have to show improvement. They can't, obviously they can't take another step backwards. I don't think they can even plateau either. I think they need to show proof of concept. They need to take a step forward. They need to show that, hey, the build, it's going to take a while, and it didn't get off to the best start on the record book. But, this is going to work. This is, there's enough reason to believe in what's being built right here. And so that's going to be kind of the thing that hangs over 2022. I'm not going to say he's on a hot seat or anything like that. And I think it would have to be a really bad season for Auburn to pull the trigger quick on a guy like Brian Harsin. But there's going to be pressure to be better. And he knows that. And he talked about that extensively after the Birmingham Bowl, saying, there's a lot of work to do and they understand the expectations in a place like Auburn. So, it's that schedule is not going to do him any favors. That's why the 6-2 start this past season I thought was so good for Auburn because, I think they took advantage of some of what the schedule helped them out with. But then when you finish like that, and then you roll into an even tougher schedule in 2022, it just makes things a lot more difficult.
Always a pleasure. Oh, by the way, before I let you go, let's end where we started with hoop. With all this talk about Chris Mack being gone at Louisville, I mean, what I'm seeing people up there, in Kentucky media mention Bruce Pearl's name as a potential guy. They also mentioning Nate Oates, by the way, for Alabama fans. Maybe not so much after last night. Who knows? But is there any thought about, Bruce Pearl, Louisville, there's talk that Pearl wants it badly and all that kind of stuff. What do you make of that?
I would be surprised if Bruce Pearl left Auburn. He's in his 60s. He has built a great situation at Auburn. He is going to go down as one of the best to ever do it here in any sport. And so, it would be tough for me to see him pack up and start over. And look, Louisville's a phenomenal basketball program, and it's not like you'd have to come in and do the Auburn thing up there. they definitely can be more successful quicker with whoever comes in next. But, I think this is going to be a situation where, Auburn is going to – not only Louisville. I think the Maryland job being open is also something to keep in mind because of their basketball history. And I think this could be a situation if Auburn keeps winning. I would expect Auburn to come through with a big, contract situation where they, give Pearl a raise. There's been talk about facility upgrades around here. There's been talk about, kind of a lot of the money stuff. And again, I would be surprised if Bruce Pearl would leave Auburn, knowing what I know about him and knowing what I know about what he feels about Auburn and what he's built here. But, interest from elsewhere, if it's, real or just the threat of interest from elsewhere, is a good way to, get some things moving in Auburn's direction, make sure they do whatever they want, whatever it takes to keep Bruce Pearl happy in here, because I think that would be the number one priority for anybody involved in leadership at Auburn.
The website is auburnobserver.com. Tremendous amount of information about everything Auburn. Justin Ferguson is the grand poobah there. And Justin, I appreciate you joining us here for a few minutes to take us through everything that's going on down on the Plains.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Tom.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll get a break in here. When we come back, John Forcade from New Orleans joins us on the Saints mess. It's just a mess. Sean Payton leaves. He sees the writing on the wall. Team is $75 million over the cap. Got no quarterback, maybe, unless you believe in Jameis Winston, who is not even under contract, I don't believe. Maybe a free agent. Anyway, we'll talk with John Forcade. He played for the Saints back in the day. We'll talk with John Forcade next, right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
NFL Conference Championships on Sunday. The Cincinnati Bengals getting 7 points at Arrowhead against the Kansas City Chiefs, hosting their fourth straight title game, and the LA Rams a 3.5-point favorite at home against the San Francisco 49ers. NBA awards, Draymond Green, the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year at -110. Rudy Gobert behind him at +175. Tyler Hero -600 for Sixth Man of the Year. Kelly Oubre at +1600 for Most Improved Player. Ja Morant the -300 favorite. Miles Bridges at +650. The 2022 Farmers Insurance Open underway today. John Rahm the favorite +700. Justin Thomas at +1600. Xander Schauffele third best odds at +1800.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. Everybody knows the fun begins when you get to the end zone, where you can enjoy half-price apps every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, half-price burgers every Tuesday, plus late-night pizza specials and a spectacular menu that includes jumbo wings, half-pound burgers, Tex-Mex, and an incredible selection of craft beer, and plenty of big-screen TVs. It's all happening at the end zone, 1851 University Drive, 2030 Cecil Ashburn at Jones Valley Station, and coming in early 2022, Mid-City End Zone at 1115 McMurtry next to the Target Shopping Center.
Get your Ford your way today. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got F-150s in stock right now. We have F-150s on the ground so you can climb behind the wheel and take a test drive today. Plus at Woody Anderson Ford, our 2021 F-150s come with $1,000 in bonus cash, along with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months with your good credit. This offer ends January 31st. To be clear, these F-150s are in stock today, ready for your garage tonight. Now let's talk about making a custom factory order. Not only is there no extra cost to custom order, but you'll get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, Expedition, and Mustang. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com and you'll see how easy it is. And speaking of easy, our service department is now offering free pickup and delivery when it's time for your next Ford service. Ask about it at Woody Anderson Ford, the corner of Jordan and Sparkman. Look forward to seeing you.
Thom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Here in the South, we like our traditions, like Alabama football and tailgating on fall Saturdays. And the best way to start your tailgate? Visit Brooks & Collier to see North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers. Big Green Egg, Blaze, and Traeger. Everything you need for that perfect tailgate. Check out our rubs and seasonings. We have a full wall to please any taste palate. Visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for 75 years. Roll Tide.
Thom Abraham here for my friend Ross Roberts and his team at Valley Equipment Rental. Coming in April, Valley will have a second location opening up on the North Parkway between Winchester Road and Bob Wade. They'll be offering bigger contractor-only type equipment, including 10K reach forklifts, 300 series track hose, and larger rollers and dozers, along with other equipment. Valley Equipment's 2 locations will better serve the region and allow them to grow their fleet. Valley Equipment Rental, locally owned for 10 years, where they put more care in every rental.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up today at noon. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You ever feel like you're packing 10 pounds of crap into a 5-pound bag? That's how today's show is. Just so much to do. And this segment of the show is brought to you by our good friends at Woody Anderson Ford, where, you know, you don't have to have a Ford to get service done at Woody Anderson Ford. I've told you that before, but you don't. The service department is outstanding. They do a tremendous job. I've run Fords for years and years and years. The last 2 that I bought, the Mustang that my wife drives and the F-150 that I drive, of course, came from Woody Anderson Ford, and they are tremendous vehicles, and they just do a great job. When you need service done, you need to call Woody Anderson Ford and Woody Anderson of Madison. Joining us now, John Forcade, played quarterback for the Saints back in the day, so he lives in New Orleans, and he's very intimate, covers this team at their media there, radio and TV there in the New Orleans area, so he's very intimate with the New Orleans Saints, and he joins us now on a Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. John, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, Tom, I'm doing fine. I'm just glad to hear that you didn't buy that Mustang for you, because I don't see you fitting in a Mustang.
It's a convertible. She looks great in it. You know what I mean? I mean, she just loves her little convertible Mustang. Me, I need a little bit of a shoehorn to get in there. Not too bad, though. It's not as bad as you think once you're in it. You know, once you're in it, it's not as bad. I like my F-150, though. All the time, she's like, do you want to take the Mustang? So you know what? If I'm driving, let's take the truck. Hop up in my truck.
There you go. That's the way it works, the big one.
Look, you and I drove your Expedition. I had an Expedition for years, too. Finally sold it to my son. The thing's still going, 300,000 miles. I remember you and I driving your Expedition all over the countryside, going to games and stuff like that back in the day.
Well, Velazzi, he couldn't afford us to travel in luxury or have Uber or a limo, so we had to take the vehicle.
Oh, get out of here. You did not want to travel with the team. That's all it is. You did not want to roll around in the rolling tube of terror, as we used to call it. And you would be like, we'd load all the players up in the bus, and you'd say, jump in the truck with me, let's go. And we'd drive all night.
That's how we did it.
That's how we rolled. No doubt about it. All right,
Yes,
listen.
sir.
You played for the Saints. You know the dysfunction of the Saints at times in the past. Sean Payton, though, was an outstanding coach for them for 16 years. Did folks there – I mean, this kind of sent shockwaves around the country, but I've been hearing rumors about this in the last just couple of weeks. Did this surprise the folks in New Orleans that this job opened up as the 9th job and that Sean Payton was leaving with 3 years to go on his contract?
Tom, I'll say this. Before the year began, a bunch of media guys and myself, a few other people, we kind of felt this could be his last year here to step away. They got some really issues with, the cap, no Drew Brees, no quarterback. And they're not saying that's why he left, but I think the rumbling is that he really wants to get back to Dallas. He likes that area. I think that's where he'll end up. Not probably soon, but I think that's where he'll end up. Now, from the fan standpoint, it's shocked there because they all felt like he's going to be here, until eternity. But 15 years, 16 years is a long time in one operation. I really thought that, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh would walk away himself. But a lot of guys, coaches nowadays, it's a long time. One Super Bowl, he's been there, like I said, 16 seasons. People say, he needs a break, and that's what I think it is. He's young. Yeah, get him a break, a couple of years away, maybe go to TV, whatever he's going to do, and then come back. But it did surprise a lot of the media guys. It really probably surprised some of the fans more than the media people.
I think he saw Kevin James playing him in the movie, and he was just like, I think that's put him into a state of depression. He saw that, and he's like, are you kidding me? I mean, really, that's what I look like? And maybe that was it, but I don't know. How is his personality? Because sometimes these guys, we see one personality when they're coaching or playing, and then we see a completely different personality when they get on TV. I've heard that he has been rumored to possibly be being targeted by Fox, maybe even in the Jimmy Johnson role in studio. Is he a kind of guy you think that would be a good fit on TV?
Oh, there's no doubt, Tom. He's got the personality of a guy that can definitely, he lights up the room. He makes people smile. Now, he can do the opposite, too. I've seen him get a little angry, get a little, teed off at times. But from a standpoint of being in front of a camera and understanding that might be his job for a couple of years, he's got to, he can't do the Rex Ryan type attitude. But I don't see that from Sean. He's easy to get along with, easy to talk to. He's really good in front of a camera. I think he'll do well there. A couple of years. Let me put it this way: he can't be no worse than what Drew Brees is showing us on TV right now. I mean, Sean Payton probably, in my eyes, will be a lot better than what Drew Brees is.
Look, you and Sean Payton have a lot of similarities. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he was a quarterback. You were a quarterback. He played in the AFL, the Arena Football League, in the inaugural season of the Arena Football League for the Chicago Bruisers and Pittsburgh Gladiators. You played in the Arena Football. He played in Canada. Did you play in Canada? I think you played in Canada.
I played in Canadian ball.
You played in Canada. He played for the Bears in the Spare Bears, during the strike in '87. You played for the Saints and earned a starting job when the strike was over for the Saints in '87. So you and Sean Payton have a very similar, and then you ended up a coach. He ended up a coach. He did a little bit better. But, I mean...
Yeah, I think he did a little better.
A little bit better.
I mean, not much, just a little better. Yeah.
But he's like you. He played in every league. He played in the strike. He played in every league. I mean, you guys are like kindred spirits, you two guys.
Well, you know as well as anybody, Tom, when you're a competitive person and you want to play the sport that you love playing, you'll do whatever it takes, go anywhere it takes. And that's what he was doing. And he realized that, getting into coaching, it might be his angle to stay in the sport that he loves. And it's shown and it proved that he's one of the best to do it after all these years being with one team. That's what gets me. All these years being with one team. And, you look what happened to Jim Moore when he was here in New Orleans. And look what happened to Bill Collier. Collier left. He said, look, I had enough of it. It's time for me to step away. And a lot of these guys do that. When you've been around, 15, 16 seasons in one city and state, I sort of remind people, it's like eating a ribeye all your life. Try a little filet every now and then. I think that's what he's trying to do. wants to do a little filet instead of eating ribeye. So let him go enjoy himself, and he left on good terms.
So you're saying that the Cowboys would be a filet compared to the Saints being a ribeye? You think that? I mean, that's a little better piece of steak.
I love ribeyes. I'm into ribeyes. I eat filet, but you just got to try something different. Okay, should I say? Okay. Something like driving a pure with a purist, or go get yourself a Mustang. What do you think?
In that '87 strike, I will say this. He played 3 games during the strike of '87. I don't know if you know his numbers. He was 8 of 23 for 79 yards and an interception. He had passer rating of 27.3. So he may have ended up a better coach, but you definitely had a much better playing career coming out of the strike.
We played against each other.
His interception was against you. His interception was against the Saints.
And they pulled him. He didn't start the game. They inserted him in there. After he threw his pick, they yanked him. So that was his. We talk about that every now and then when I get to see him and talk. We bring it up to about how we played against each other in strike season, and I stuck around, and that was probably his last pass that he probably threw. But no, look, he's much better. He had more patience to be a coach in the NFL than I would have done. I was still trying to play. He figured it was over and done with after that, and he went off to the coaching ranks, and good for him. He's been one of the best and will be one of the best of all time when it's all said and done.
16 years in one place. It was hard to keep you in one place for 16 minutes.
You ain't kidding.
You jumped all over the place like crazy. So you mentioned the Saints.
Roman eyes and Russian fingers.
That's exactly right. John Forquet with us from New Orleans. All right, so you mentioned the cap situation. They have the worst situation in the NFL. They're $75 million over the cap. They got to cut everybody, basically. I don't know if they got a quarterback or not. Is Jameis Winston even under contract? Is he a free agent now? What is the situation there with that kid? He's not even a contract.
No, he's not under contract. Contract ended. The big talk, though, is do they want to bring back a guy who's hurt? And I'm sure he can come back from it. We all come back from those type of injuries. But the big question is, who's going to be the coach? What are they looking at down the road? Over $70 million of cap space problems they're going to have. That's a lot of redoing, a lot of restructuring, and they can't keep pushing money off because it's going to come back and hurt them. They're going to definitely have to cut some players. It's going to be a rebuilding. I'm sorry to say this. I don't care who's coming in. That's why, Tom, we've talked about this on the air the other day. I don't see a big-name quarterback coming to New Orleans. Why? Because there's no offensive lineman help. They're all been hurt, and then there's no receivers. What's going to happen offensive-wise? They got a good defense, but when you got to cut all this money because of salary cap, you got issues. Now, what name quarterback? Russell's not coming here. I don't see Aaron Rodgers coming here. So they have to go out and find him, Jimmy Garoppolo or someone else that maybe will come there to get a starting job. But I think they're all going to look for another quarterback. May it be from look, watch out for Carson Wentz. He might have an opportunity if the Colts decide to get rid of him. But I see them going another quarterback. If they signed Winston, it's going to be a short, quick, one-year deal like they did just this past year.
What coach is going to go there? I mean, when you look at it from a coaching standpoint, you wonder. Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas has got $24 million cap hit. I guess you got to keep him, right? I mean, he's going to have all that dead money. You can't move him. I don't think he's kind of a head case. He had issues. Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, some of these big names, Cameron Jordan. Somebody's getting whacked. I mean, you can't get rid of Kamara, but I think there's going to be some very big names getting cut there. How attractive? What kind of a coach takes this job?
Well, let's be honest. Dennis Allen canceled the interview in Chicago yesterday. He stayed in New Orleans, and so we all know down here. We pretty much sure it's going to be Dennis Allen. Coaching the team. They'll go through the process of interviewing minorities and other people just to just satisfy the NFL. But Dennis Allen's been on staff. Everybody loves him here. He's been good to the game. He just got to get him a good offensive coordinator. And as far as you talk about cap wise and players and financially, they're going to be suppliers. Like you look at this with Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas could be a good trade bait. They might have to wrap it up in a situation where Saints will eat some of that money, but get rid of him to get something in return. But there are going to be some players who's either going to have to restructure the contract, or there are going to be some players who say, "Nope, I'm going to go somewhere else." And it's going to be no matter who coaches this club. Look, without a quarterback, without a coach, and without some offensive weapons, they'd be rebuilding. That's what's going to happen. If they can give them a 2-year rebuilding process, maybe whoever the coach can get with who they want on the squad. But right now it's leaning toward Dennis Allen.
Is this team going to be sold? What's the situation with ownership there? Because they've had all the battling and with the Benson family and all that kind of stuff. How are they sitting from an ownership standpoint? Because, anybody that's our age knows that the Saints, they had a long, bad period. And it feels like they could be going into some kind of a tailspin like that where it may be the Aints again for a number of years.
Well, I don't think the team will be sold. Gail Benson, she's too involved with New Orleans, Louisiana, the state, and everything. So I could see her sticking around. And if she would sell a team, I think it's still going to be someone to keep it in New Orleans. Why wouldn't you? There's the only team here, professional sports-wise, you can't call it Pelicans. Now, she might get rid of the Pelicans before she does the Saints, but I still see the Saints staying here. And listen, it might be one of them down. Look, it happened to Seattle. Seattle went, it happened to the Giants. So everybody has that problems over the years after 10, 12 years of doing well. You're going to have a couple of bad years. If they can just ride the waves and maybe 2 years of being down, but get them a quarterback who you can have for maybe 6, 7 years, 8 years on the roster that you feel regroup, get rid of all that dead money, get back to where you can live and survive off of. The Saints aren't going anywhere.
John Forcade has been our guest. John, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend, and we'll look forward to doing it again as news continues to break down there.
Let me know, my friend. Take care of yourself. Be safe, Tom.
All right, thank you. John Forcade. All right, it's been a busy show. It's really been a busy show. And now I'm going to turn it over to you guys. So if you want to jump in and get on the lines, you can do it with us. 256-576-4977. 256-576-4977. On any of the topics that we've touched on, you want to jump in, this is the time to do it. It's the Thom Abraham Show. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us, too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
For over 20 years, Audio Insight has been designing and installing systems that integrate today's technology into homes and businesses all over the Tennessee Valley. At Audio Insight, they don't provide one-size-fits-all system solutions. Instead, they design your system from the ground up based on your valuable input. By working closely with you, Audio Insights can ensure that your system will meet your performance, budget, and aesthetic needs. Visit the showroom at 1229 Putman Drive off Jordan Lane and experience some of their fine products firsthand. Visit audio-insight.com to learn more.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked the reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures really failed to warm up. Highs only hanging out in the upper 30s and lower 40s, dropping into the mid and upper 20s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky once again for your Thursday. Winds a little more southerly. That should allow temperatures to climb into the upper 40s and lower 50s, dropping into the low and mid 30s as we head into the overnight. An isolated shower is going to be possible for your Friday. Otherwise, a mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures upper 30s and lower 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When we say local, we mean local, not Birmingham.
Loser.
We are the only sports talk station in Huntsville. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got a magical glow.
So I'm going to watch it on TV.
The game's on. Oh, I almost forgot. I'll be right there.
We like sports and we don't care who knows. From shooting hoops to the Super Bowl. We like sports and we don't care who knows.
Football,
tennis, hockey, golf. The game is starting. Everyone is here. I got my snacks, my friends, and a beer.
So I'm going to watch it on TV.
Are you ready for football? A Monday night party!
So I'm going to watch it on TV. So I'm going to watch it on TV.
What to watch on TV tonight is brought to you by Audio Insight, who for over 20 years have been designing and installing systems integrating today's technology into your home or business all over the Tennessee Valley. Dave Bond and his crew, they know that it's not a one-size-fits-all type of solution for you. You might just need to hang a TV and put in a new soundbar, or a sound system, or surround sound type system. My son-in-law has an excellent surround sound system in where I watched the championship games or the divisional playoff games on Saturday afternoon, the Titans game up in Nashville. Went to his house, and they had this really cool sound system and I'm like, I need to do it. And he started telling me about how to install all of these speakers and subwoofers and all that stuff. I said, no. Dave Bond, Audio Insight. All right, that's what I do. I'm calling Dave Bond from Audio Insight, and I will have them come in and put in all this equipment so that I can have this sound wrapping around there in my room as well, where I watch the games. So they're the guys that can do this for you. Check out audio-insight.com to learn more. It's audio-insight.com. They have a showroom on Putman Drive, 1229 Putman Drive, right off of Jordan Lane, and you can go there and see some of the products firsthand. 256-576-4977 will get you into the show. By the way, what to watch tonight, double dip of NBA action. If you're into the NBA, double dip of it's NBA night on ESPN. Tonight the Knicks are at the Miami Heat. Hopefully they'll be wearing uniforms that we can recognize, these two teams, the whole NBA, with the goofy uniforms they wear in the NBA now. You can't even recognize anybody. But you also have it's a doubleheader. You got the Suns, who are playing very well, at Utah as well. I think they just played like 2 nights ago, I believe. I think maybe I'm totally wrong on that. But for some reason, Their last game was against each other.
Yeah,
it was in Phoenix.
Yeah. No, it was in Utah. This one, I'm sorry, it was in Phoenix. Yeah, this is.
It was
in
in
Utah.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
And the Suns won by what? Like
115, 109.
Yeah, 6. Had the Suns minus 9.5. That's how I know. That's how I know. Anyway, college hoop. You like some college hoop? Well, tonight at 5 o'clock, Florida at Tennessee. So you get some college basketball there. Good basketball game there as the Florida Gators are at Tennessee. But before that, this afternoon, Grizz, he'll try and get out of here early, 4 o'clock or so, because from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, Grizz, on ESPN2, is the Madden NFL Ultimate Wild Card Tournament. So I know you like to watch other people play video games, right?
I'm good on that.
Oh, you don't have to watch that?
I don't really like to watch that kind of stuff.
What about the 145th Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show?
Maybe.
The Dog Show is on FS2. That used to be on NBCSN, but there is no NBCSN anymore.
I might pick that up. I might watch a little bit of that.
For me, Grizz, it'll most likely be Puck. There is good Puck tonight. You want to talk about some original 6 action as well. Check out this double. In fact, I am definitely watching Puck on TNT tonight. Check this out. You've got the Chicago Blackhawks at the Detroit Red Wings, and that's the early game, followed by the Boston Bruins at the Colorado Avalanche. That's the late game. All right, that's it. That's the selection.
Those are 2 really good games.
Those are 2. Yeah, they are. Those are
great
2
matchups.
I think that's where I'm going to watch it. Blackhawks Red Wings is original 6, so I got to watch some of that. Blackhawks used to be my second favorite team in the NHL. I was always a Bruins fan, and then my cousin, who was like a brother to me, he was a Blackhawk fan.
Yeah.
So he liked the Blackhawks, I liked the Bruins, and I had the hockey game, not a video game, but that hockey game, with the tabletop hockey game with the little players and stuff. I always had the Bruins and the Blackhawks were the 2 teams in that game. So that'll be good to watch. I'll enjoy watching both of those games. Now I like the Predators probably more than the Blackhawks. So the Preds are my second favorite team behind the Bruins. But that's good. That's good hockey action tonight. So that's what I'm watching on TV tonight. Something really, really cool happened in the NFL, Grizz, and I don't know if you heard this story or not, but it's really, really neat. Of course, the Bills lost to the Chiefs in heartbreaking fashion. Well, beginning Tuesday, donations in the increments of $13 began being sent to a hospital in Buffalo where the Bills Mafia, what they do when they go and play at someplace else, they donate money to a hospital in that particular team that they're playing against. So in the tradition of the Bills Mafia doing that, the Chiefs Kingdom Facebook group decided that they would donate $13 increments to a hospital in Buffalo, the Osai, I don't know how you say it, Children's Hospital in Buffalo. And as of this morning, they have raised $178,000 in $13 increments. They do it because it was 13 seconds is how long it took Kansas City, to beat Buffalo.
Yeah.
Or at least to tie the game, and then at the end of regulation. And so I think that's something really cool. It's something that Josh Allen, it was kind of a big deal with Josh Allen if their fans donated $17 increments, and they donated $1.1 million in honor of Allen's grandmother, Patricia Allen, who died last year. There's now a Patricia Allen Pediatric Recovery Wing at the hospital. This is a good sports story. You know what I mean?
It's good because it's the fans, and you never see the owners or the players or people that are actually have the money that could just throw that willy-nilly or match it very easily. Don't end up doing that, and it's great to see the fans, despite all the woes and everything negative that may have happened. It does stink. It does sting to lose, but to do something that's greater than football. I mean, it's always something that puts a smile on your face.
It all started in 2017 when Andy Dalton hit Tyler Boyd for a game-winning touchdown over the Ravens that led the Bills to clinching their playoff berth for the first time in 17 years. So they started donating in $17 increments money to the Andy and Jordan Dalton Foundation, and they sent $100,000.
As they should. That's awesome.
I mean, that's just fantastic. I mean, that's just is really, really cool stuff. Bama Bill is up. Bama Bill, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, doing good. About to get over that weekend. NFL, it's crazy.
Unreal.
About to start thinking about the USFL. I read something online about coming out with $10 tickets for down in Birmingham, and they're going to simulcast the first game on Fox and NBC.
Yeah,
over there.
Yeah, both. The game is going to be. It's the first time we had this yesterday. The game is going to be on both Fox and NBC. It's April 16th, a Saturday night. It's the New Jersey Generals against the Birmingham Stallions, and it will be the first game since Super Bowl I between two teams that is being broadcast by two different networks. Now, it's going to be the same broadcast team and everything. NBC is going to handle halftime and post-game, and the Fox crew is going to actually do the game. But, and the tickets for the game are $10 a piece. And get this, kids under 15 are free. They're trying to paper the house. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I was actually at the Birmingham, New Jersey Generals back in the day. Herschel Walker, saw Donald Trump down on the field.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild.
Yeah, but it's going to be a big deal. Thanks for the call, Bama Bill. $10 tickets. It's at Protective Stadium in Birmingham. They'll have over 30,000 for that game, I bet. I bet they get over 30,000 for the game. Kids free. All right, coming up next, it's also free. Chuck Oliver here, and then Paul Feinbaum, and then The Drive with Wes and Steve. It's all right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.